Papua New Guinea Tsunami. On July 17, 1998, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck off the northern coast of Papua New Guinea near the village of Aitape. Though moderate in size, the quake triggered a massive undersea landslide that displaced millions of tons of sediment. Within minutes, a towering 15-meter or 50-foot wave struck the coastline without warning, obliterating villages and sweeping entire families out to sea. More than 2,200 people were killed and thousands more were injured. Most victims were caught during the evening as the first smaller wave drew villagers to the shore before the second, far larger one struck. The tragedy revealed a devastating blind spot in tsunami prediction. Landslide-generated tsunamis, which traditional ocean monitoring systems often fail to detect. The disaster led to a major scientific reassessment of tsunami mechanisms. Researchers from around the world deployed field teams to study sediment displacement, paving the way for improved tsunami modeling and early warning systems. The Papua New Guinea tsunami remains a turning point in global ocean hazard research. Sulawesi Tsunami. On September 28, 2018, a magnitude 7.5 earthquake struck central Sulawesi, Indonesia, near the city of Palu. The quake triggered a submarine landslide in Lituya Bay, funneling the water into a narrow inlet that amplified the wave height. Within minutes, a 6-meter or 20-foot tsunami slammed into the city, leaving a trail of destruction. Over 4,300 people were killed, and tens of thousands were displaced. The ground itself turned to liquid through a process known as soil liquefaction, swallowing entire neighborhoods. Videos of the wave racing through the streets shocked the world, highlighting how geography can magnify tsunami intensity even from moderate quakes. The disaster prompted major upgrades to Indonesia's tsunami early warning system and brought global awareness to the dangers of near-field tsunamis, where waves arrive within minutes, leaving little to no time for evacuation. Lituya Bay megatsunami. On July 9, 1958, a massive rock slide triggered by a magnitude 7.8 earthquake crashed into Lituya Bay in southeastern Alaska. The impact displaced 30 million cubic meters of rock into the narrow inlet, generating a wave that shot up the fjord's opposite slope to a height of 524 meters or 1,720 feet, the tallest recorded wave in human history. The colossal surge stripped vegetation and soil down to bedrock, leaving a visible scar on the landscape still seen today. Incredibly, only 5 people died, as most witnesses were boaters who managed to ride out the wave's crest. The event provided scientists with rare data on megatsunamis, caused not by quakes but by massive landslides into confined bodies of water. Lituya Bay became a case study for understanding landslide dynamics and wave runoff potential in fjords, reservoirs, and volcano collapse zones, forever changing how scientists evaluate tsunami hazards in mountainous regions. Meiji Sanriku Tsunami. On June 15, 1896, during the Meiji era, powerful undersea earthquake estimated at magnitude 8.5 struck off Japan's Sanriku coast. The tremor itself caused minimal damage, but 35 minutes later, an enormous tsunami over 38 meters or 125 feet shocked the coastline. The first wave was deceptively small, luring residents out before the second, far larger surge annihilated entire fishing villages. More than 22,000 people were killed, and over 9,000 homes were destroyed. Bodies were found miles inland, and ships were hurled hundreds of meters ashore. The event left Japan traumatized and marked one of the earliest detailed scientific studies of tsunami behavior. It inspired modern Japan's national tsunami education programs and led to the first systematic mapping of tsunami deposits. The lessons learned from Sanriku became foundational to Japan's culture of preparedness and coastal resilience. Okushiri Tsunami. On July 12, 1993, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck off the coast of Hokkaido, Japan, generating a tsunami that reached Okushiri Island within 3 minutes. The first wave was over 30 meters high, destroying coastal towns and washing away hundreds of homes. Despite Japan's sophisticated alert systems, the wave arrived too quickly for effective evacuation. 230 people were killed, many while attempting to flee uphill. Fires broke out as fuel tanks ruptured, compounding the devastation. The Okushiri event exposed the limits of even advanced warning networks in near-field tsunamis and led to massive public investment in elevated shelters and reinforced seawalls. In the aftermath, Japan's engineers pioneered rapid response coastal defense systems, and Okushiri became a model for disaster awareness training across the country. Cascadia earthquake and tsunami. On the night of January 6, 1700, a magnitude 9.0 megathrust earthquake struck the Cascadia subduction zone, stretching from Northern California to British Columbia. The quake ruptured over 1,000 kilometers of fault line, displacing the ocean floor and generating a tsunami that slammed into the Pacific Northwest. Native oral traditions tell of villages swallowed by the sea, while tree-ring data confirms a sudden land subsidence along the coast. Hours later, the same wave struck Japan, recorded by scribes as the Orphan Tsunami, due to its mysterious lack of a local quake. Modern geological research confirmed the Trans-Pacific connection, proving this was one of the largest quakes in North American history. It transformed understanding of plate tectonics and remains a critical reference point for assessing the seismic threat to the U.S. Pacific Northwest today. Aleutian Island Tsunami. On April 1, 1946, a magnitude 8.6 earthquake struck near Unimak Island in Alaska's Aleutian chain. The quake triggered a tsunami that raced across the Pacific Ocean, reaching Hawaii 5 hours later with waves up to 17 meters high. Hilo on the Big Island was devastated. Homes flattened, ships carried inland, and streets flooded. 165 people were killed, most of them in Hawaii, as there had been no warning system in place. The tragedy spurred the United States to establish the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in 1949, marking the beginning of global tsunami monitoring. This event remains one of the most pivotal in Pacific disaster preparedness history, directly leading to international cooperation on tsunami forecasting and communication systems that save countless lives today. Krakatoa Tsunami. On August 27, 1883, the volcanic island of Krakatoa erupted catastrophically between Java and Sumatra. The explosion, one of the loudest sounds in recorded history, was so powerful it destroyed most of the island and sent shockwaves across the globe. The collapse of the caldera displaced massive volumes of seawater, generating tsunamis over 40 meters high. More than 36,000 people were killed as waves struck coastal towns across the Sunda Strait. Entire villages were wiped out and ships were hurled kilometers inland. The atmospheric effects darkened skies worldwide for days, influencing global temperatures and inspiring works of art like Edvard Munch's The Scream. Krakatoa's eruption marked a turning point in volcanology and oceanic research, showing the link between explosive eruptions and tsunamis. Its legacy lives on in Anak Krakatau, the child of Krakatoa, which continues to grow from the same volcanic system today. Lisbon Tsunami. On November 1, 1755, All Saints' Day, a massive magnitude 8.5 to 9.0 earthquake struck offshore near Lisbon. The shaking reduced much of the city to rubble, and within minutes, a series of tsunamis up to 20 meters high surged up to the Tagus River. Thousands who had fled to the waterfront were swept away as the waves consumed their ruins. An estimated 60,000 people were killed and fires burned for days. The disaster shocked Europe, profoundly influencing Enlightenment philosophy. Even Voltaire referenced it in Candide. It also birthed modern seismology, as Portugal's Prime Minister ordered the first systematic survey of earthquake effects across the country. The event reshaped Lisbon's urban design, introducing some of the world's first earthquake-resistant buildings and marking the dawn of scientific disaster study. Valdivia Tsunami. On May 22, 1960, the strongest earthquake ever recorded, magnitude 9.5, shocked southern Chile. The seismic rupture unleashed a massive tsunami that devastated Chile's coast before crossing the Pacific Ocean. Waves over 25 meters high battered towns like Valdivia, Puerto Saavedra, and Coral. Over 5,700 people were killed worldwide as the tsunami traveled across the Pacific, reaching Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines. Coastal villages vanished beneath walls of water, and fishing fleets were obliterated. The Valdivia event confirmed the interconnectivity of Pacific nations and the global reach of major tsunamis. It directly inspired the creation of the Pacific Tsunami Warning System, still in use today, and remains the benchmark for studying megathrust earthquake behavior along subduction zones. Tōhoku Tsunami. On March 11, 2011, at 2:46 p.m., A magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck off Japan's northeastern coast. The seafloor displacement generated waves over 40 meters high, which engulfed cities like Sendai and Rikuzen Takata within minutes. The tsunami inundated over 500 square kilometers of land. Nearly 20,000 people were killed or went missing, and hundreds of thousands were displaced. The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant was overwhelmed, leading to one of the worst nuclear accidents in history. The disaster revealed vulnerabilities even in a technologically advanced nation. The event cost Japan an estimated $235 billion, the most expensive natural disaster in history, and transformed both global nuclear policy and tsunami engineering worldwide. Indian Ocean Tsunami. On December 26, 2004, a magnitude 9.1 to 9.3 megathrust earthquake struck off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, one of the strongest ever recorded. The rupture, stretching over 1,200 kilometers, lifted the ocean floor by up to 15 meters, unleashing a chain of tsunamis that radiated across the Indian Ocean. Waves over 30 meters high devastated Aceh in Indonesia, before striking Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, and even the coast of Africa. More than 230,000 people were killed across 14 countries. Entire coastlines were erased, and millions were left homeless in what became the deadliest tsunami in human history. The catastrophe reshaped global disaster response. It led to the creation of the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System and unprecedented international cooperation in early warning technologies. The 2004 tsunami remains one of humanity's most sobering reminders of nature's power.